This episode of Channel KRT is sponsored by Red Ribbon Reviewers. Red Ribbon Reviewers is a movement for internet-based reviewers and podcasters to spread awareness and discussion on HIV and AIDS during the holiday season. To show solidarity with Red Ribbon Reviewers, we'll be including a donation link to the Trevor Project in the description for our Christmas episodes, as well as our social media feeds. Thank you, and happy holidays. And welcome back to Channel Slay RT, the podcast that can genetically combine obscure media with inane bullshit. I'm Tyler Freeze.
Hi, I'm Kit Quinn, and this is our extremely late Beetlejuice tie-in. Hopefully we get a decades-late sequel to this one, too, with old Michael Keaton.
I'm Randy Martin, and well, Kit, Snow Podcast is better than no podcast.
Nice. You know, there's a non-zero chance that they're gonna cryogenically freeze Michael Keaton for that sequel, not because he's aging or anything, just because they can.
Warner Brothers is like, we'll let you out of your legacy franchises eventually.
Jack Frost 2. This time, he's frostier.
Anyway, let's bring in our guest today, the ghost of Christmas Hipp.
Yeah, thank you for creating the Christmas-themed pun for me, because I got nothing.
Welcome to the podcast. Do you want to be the Jack Frost that we reviewed that's voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, or the one by Michael Keaton?
Or do you want to be the twink who got shipped with Elsa back in the Tumblr days?
Oh, God!
I would like to be with the twink who got chipped with Elsa. I guess I'll be the Elsa in that scenario.
Valid.
All right, put on the gloves, build the castle, and start letting it go.
and miss the high note whenever I sing it on television.
Oh.
Absolutely.
So we are talking about a very interesting movie today that a lot of people probably know about. It's become a holiday staple in its own right. I, of course, am talking about the 1998 Warner Brothers movie Jack Frost.
Which is one of many Jack Frosts, although I guess it's obvious that we're not talking about the horror one.
I will say about the horror movie, it's not that bad. A lot of people give it shit, but come on. It's schlock. It's supposed to be schlock, and that's okay.
Jack Frost. Look, Ma! I'm a Picasso!
Do you think, like, the joke about, ooh, there's a horror Jack Frost and the family Jack Frost, do you think that would be as much of a thing if they did not come out, like, a year apart? If the horror one was, like, a schlock 80s movie, do you think we'd have the same kind of ongoing joke with that?
Honestly, I think we still would make that joke.
You want to know something crazy ironic about that? So, you had a horror Jack Frost and then a family Jack Frost come out within a year of each other. But then you also, a decade later, had the horror Frozen come out 3 years before the family Frozen, Jack Frost, Elsa. It's all connected, man!
Gasp, and also nobody ever references the Rankin Bass Jack Frost, funny enough.
I mean, I was thinking of that.
Everything is Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons.
Yay!
Oh no. I will randomly flash back to that. Like, 2010's Tumblr was a magical time.
I was very, very, very briefly in the Rise of the Guardians fandom. Things got heavy there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, man. I've never seen Rise of the Guardians.
It's great, you should.
I'm just gonna say, Frozen being brought to the Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons fandom was like putting Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Brothers, and just how phenomenal it ended up being. And, like, how important it was.
Yes. I still love that one where Mavis from Hotel Transylvania is calling Rapunzel, "Are you a lesbian?" "I think so." "Well, you better be," or something.
Did you just kiss me? Yeah, it's okay. I am, quote-unquote, lesbo.
Do we just keep adding movies onto that? Like, throw in the whatever DreamWorks Blue Sky Epic movie, whatever that was.
Yes, we do.
Throw the Croods in, why not?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, do it.
Take us back to a time when animated movies actually got released.
I mean, they also put the Lorax in there, but just that green twink.
Oh, the Once-ler fandom.
The one slur. It's so funny. We're talking more about fandoms than this movie.
Well, not to jump into the movie now, but it's kind of funny that this movie opens with the Warner Brothers 75th anniversary logo, where they're actually proud to celebrate their legacy.
Warner Brothers on Disney Plus.
Yeah, by the way, through a loophole, we watched this on Hulu through Disney Plus. At least I did, so.
We watched a Warner Brothers movie on Hulu through Disney Plus. We really are living in the corporate end times.
Remember when the stupidest decision Warner Brothers ever made is that they didn't promote the Iron Giant properly? That was fun.
Conglomerates are hell.
That happened a lot in the 90s with Warner Brothers. It was so weird because like everyone was trying to do either animated movies or family movies once Disney was like, hey, if you make movies for babies, it'll make a whole bunch of money. And I guess Home Alone to a degree too.
Yeah.
And so they started that whole family entertainment line. And after like 3 movies, I think it was like Free Willy, Secret Garden, and Dennis the Menace, and they all do good. And then they just stopped caring. It's like, oh, we have an animated Batman movie. Let's just dump that. Oh, we'll sign a deal with Don Bluth to put out some movies. We'll just dump those. And then as soon as they hit video, it's like, oh, now we'll put like a little toy or a little book or a little something inside there and really push the video. And it's like, what was the point of putting it in theaters in the first place if you're just going to try and make your money on video?
Speaking of, we should totally look at one of the Free Willy episodes of the cartoon one day.
Oh God, yes.
I'm surprised we haven't yet, quite frankly.
How did I not know there was a Free Willy cartoon?
Really? Dave made a whole video on it.
And he wears a person mask and nobody notices that he's wearing a mask. This isn't even like Clark Kent's glasses. He's wearing a face that's not real skin. Unless it is real skin, in which case, gross.
There was 2 more Free Willy movies, which I don't understand how Free Willy got a franchise when Willy is already free.
And Willie.
His name is Free Willy. Jump, Free Willy, jump!
And the other 3 didn't get Michael Jackson songs.
Yeah, what the heck? If you're gonna make anything with Free Willy, there should be one Michael Jackson song per Free Willy.
I thought there was one in the second one.
Oh, was there?
I think, because I feel like I can't remember where, if it was like a trailer on a Warner Brothers tape or like a music video played on VH1 Classic, but I feel like somewhere I saw from the soundtrack of Free Willy 2, Michael Jackson with the beat older, you know. I don't know.
I mean, he was in Men in Black 2, so.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
I'll call you back.
I can be Agent M.
Oh my god, it's childhood? It's the soft ballad he does about his lost childhood?
What? Okay.
Because Free Willy lost his childhood from being in captivity or something. It works.
Did he badly want to do that one for like a Peter Pan adaptation? I don't know.
Hey, Michael, the song did really well for our last one. What have you got? Yeah, here you go. Childhood, sure. No, that's why they called it quits after the third. I don't think there was a one in the third one, so maybe it's like, oh, well, Michael Jackson's the key to the whale movies, I guess.
What? They didn't find anything from the critical and financial hit album Invincible to use in Free Willy 3?
Gasp.
When was Invincible? I thought that was 2001.
Oh, it was.
Free Willy Freeve, Freevee, streaming now. They were waiting for the Invincible album. Michael, give us a song off your Invincible album. I don't know what that is, guys. I'm not going to make that for another 8 years. What are you talking
You're
about?
ignorant. There is no Invincible.
It's just ignorant, guys. It's just ignorant. Blanket. With the beat older.
Am I the one that's ignorant?
Something Amazon Invincible joke, something Omni-Man. Anyway.
Okay, so Frosty Joe. All right, so Ryan, you were the one that suggested doing this episode.
Oh, yes.
What is your relationship with this movie?
Oh, how much time have we got? I think Kit knows, because I think she read my long letterbox thing last year, because last year was the 25th. I was hoping we could do it for the 25th, but stuff happens.
There we go.
So you mentioned the Warner Brothers 75th logo. That ties into this a little bit. So 1998, a couple years before, Warner Brothers buys Turner, and along with that, they get the old MGM library, including The Wizard of Oz. And so fall of 98, Warner Brothers puts Wizard of Oz back out. And I was obsessed with The Wizard of Oz. That was probably like my first love, was The Wizard of Oz.
Me too.
And
Hell
Me
yeah.
too. I have a Wizard of Oz shrine in my room.
I think there's a picture of me somewhere with a little basket with a stuffed Toto in it. So
Aw.
That's adorable.
it should have been a sign. How did I not know?
Man, so you were always destined to be a friend of Dorothy.
Exactly.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Gay. So we go to see it, and one of the trailers opens with that snowy Warner Brothers 75 logo, and it goes,
Once upon a time, there lived a man named Jack Frost.
Happy holidays! You guys are great!
But his job kept him away from home.
I brought you this.
And your harmonicas?
I got that the morning you were born.
Then one night, something happened. Something terrible that turned into something wonderful.
and then this snowman appears. And I couldn't with that snowman.
Aw.
And so I go on with my life, like we watch Wizard of Oz, go about whatever. And I remember that name too, Jack Frost, this creepy snowman. The movie's called Jack Frost. A few weeks later, the Rugrats movie comes out. I go to see it. And then that trailer appears again. And I know from the snowy Warner Brothers logo, oh, it's that. And I cover my eyes till the trailer's over.
It's like seeing the beginning of that one car video.
Except this time the scary zombie is a scary snowman. And unintentionally scary. He just looks directly at you on the screen. He says, Ryan, you need to get out of here. Tommy Pickles is gonna try to kill his brother.
Oh, yeah, that was the whole plot. I haven't watched those in a long time. I don't know if I want to.
I was not much of a Rugrats kid growing up.
Oh, I was big into Rugrats, but I feel like now with my OCD and low tolerance for tiny children that I would just be like, no, I can't do this.
Fair.
And
Rugrats in Paris is still a masterpiece, though, I will say. But anyway.
no love for Rugrats Go Wild featuring Bruce Willis as the voice of Spike.
Oh, yeah, I remember when they were promoting the fuck out of that.
Rugrats Go Wild, featuring the voice of Bruce Willis as Spike.
All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
Ugh. I fucking fell for the whole smell-o-vision thing of that movie. It did not work at all.
Wait, it didn't work?
No, I tried it. Maybe it's because I got it on VHS and kept trying and trying. It just didn't work.
I got the card, like the smell-o-vision card, but the smells didn't smell like what they were supposed to smell like. And I didn't take it to the theater. I just had it at home because it's like, I'm not going to bother like going to the theater, carry this thing in, do all that shit. But I remember seeing it in the theater, and I guess, and this is unlocking a memory, I totally forgot about this till just now. I don't think the theater matted the movie right, because it was like the whole thing was when the number flashes on the screen, you scratch the thing, which, I mean, I want to know what that must have been like for people going to see the movie who didn't even know there was a smell-o-vision thing, and then just like a big green number 3 appears on the screen. It's like, what? Okay.
And nowadays it's called 4DX, but anyway.
Yes. But like I remember like the numbers being like cut off, like only half of them appearing on the screen. So it's like they didn't even mat the movie right at that theater. But the thing with the Jack Frost was like that was also whenever the TV spots would come on, is I would see that logo and I'd run for cover. And that carried over for a while. Like as a little kid, I mean, maybe other kids like would have a better sense of this, but it took me a while to realize, oh, hey, a movie only plays in theaters for a little bit, and then they take the posters down, and after a while, you don't have to worry about seeing that poster again. And so even like the following summer, like I remember going to see Inspector Gadget at the beach.
Inspector Gadget 1999 mentioned!
Yeah.
Speaking of nightmare fuel, but anyway.
I like Inspector Gadget 99.
Quiet you.
The movie that made me realize I had a thing for 90s Matthew Broderick without knowing that
Valid.
I had a thing. I went to see that, and then like leaving the theater, like I would still be like averting my eyes from the posters, even though it was like half a year later. And I mean, I didn't know at the time, but like Jack Frost didn't do very well. And so it's like it would have been gone for a very long time. I think even into like 2000, because I think my family was going to see, I don't know if you remember when Disney was doing like the double features. I guess they were trying to inflate the numbers of movies that weren't doing well. And I think it was a double feature of 102 Dalmatians and Emperor's New Groove. And I didn't go because I was afraid the Jack Frost poster would be there. in whatever spring, summer of 2000. So
Wow.
I
That thing left its mark.
If it helps, I was very similar where I refused to watch Nickelodeon for almost half a year in 2004 because I was absolutely terrified of a combination of Wormy, the Jimmy Neutron episode where Shane got a giant brain, and the Breakfast PSA, the one where the guy turns into a werewolf. So
I don't remember that.
Did I ever tell you about the Klosky Suspo logo nightmare I had as a kid that still gives me like chills to this day?
Oh god.
No, go ahead.
So the Klosky Suspo logo, the one that's like the weird real lips and eyes that's like got the robot voice and shit.
Oh god, yeah.
The cutout animation one.
I had the most surreal and terrifying nightmare about that thing as a kid, where it was one of those dreams you have where you're like half asleep, so you're still like kind of awake-ish, and then you wake up and you're like, what the fuck was that? So the one I had was suddenly that logo face appearing right in front of me, and then it would mirror every single one of my facial movements. I turned my eyes side to side, it would do the same thing.
Oh, fuck no.
No!
I opened my mouth, it would do the same thing.
Oh god.
Fuck no.
I still get chills thinking about that dream. It was so fucking scary.
I'm getting chills listening about it. Shit.
It just wanted to be your best friend.
That is somehow even more scary than I have no mouth and I must scream.
That could be a half decent analog horror, I think. Like, holy shit.
You get Skinnamarink by the Clash G Scribo logo.
Skabakaboo. I don't know.
Basically, and then after that, it was like, I could still watch Klosky Suspo shows, but then I would get that same wave of chills I always got from that dream every time I saw that face, and I still get that to this day when I see it.
On a side note, I cannot wait for us to tackle the Ronald McDonald show someday.
Oh god, next year for sure. We have to do it.
I was in the weeds on those.
Hell yeah.
I don't think I ever talked about this on the show, but when I was a kid, I would avoid literally anything and everything Toy Story because of the character Mr. Mike, which was like the Mr. Microphone type thing with like this creepy fucking mouth and eyes.
Oh, valid.
Rectangular thing.
Yeah.
Like literally, I remember my dad renting Toy Story 2 when I was a little kid, and I just ran upstairs screaming, hiding in the shower until he went back to Blockbuster, took it back. Just me being scared completely shitless of this character that had literally no fucking bearing on the plot. And I'm thinking, when I was on Slinky Dog Dash last time I was in Disney World, they have an oversized Mr. Mike, and I'm thinking, you know, if I was like my much younger self, I would be shitting myself right now. This would be scarier than anything at Halloween Horror Nights.
I used to be like that, but I would be able to still watch Toy Story, but I would have to fast forward through Tin Toy every time because that baby scared me so bad.
It really is so funny how, like, I can deal with, like, blood, guts, demons, shit like that, but it's uncanny shit that just, like, gets the fuck out of me.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, go on with your story, Ryan.
Yes. Speaking of, like, tapes and someone having to take it back. So that went on a while, like, being afraid of that, and it was also, like, fear of, like, going down the wrong aisle at the video store and looking at it. And then there was like a cousin who had a copy of it at their house. So whenever we went over for Christmas, it's like, you gotta hide the Jack Frost tape so Ryan doesn't see it.
Which is funny because I have a similar, I was terrified of a Jack Frost VHS cover as a kid because the Jack Frost horror one used to scare me. Like, the actual puppet in the movie didn't scare me, but
he's more easier on the eyes than the Jack Frost in this. That's ironic.
Things like, I was totally fine looking at the horror one because it looked so goofy, but the big thing was like someone having to take a movie back. So someone in the family, totally unprovoked, got me the Iron Giant on tape. And the thing was, I did not go to see it in theaters. Like, I remember when it came out and thinking, oh, that kind of looks neat. And I never asked to rent it or anything like that. But they got the tape just out of the blue. Wasn't my birthday, wasn't Christmas. They just got me the tape. And it had like the little Iron Giant toy in it. And I really wanted to keep it mainly because of the toy, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a Warner Brothers movie, and I was afraid there would be a Jack Frost trailer. Even though Iron Giant came out on tape like winter 99, whenever.
Yeah.
And so like a decade or so later, I was curious, like, because eventually I did see Iron Giant a few years after that when we got like a DVD player, and I learned, oh, trailers are typically not, unless it's like Disney, there aren't really trailers before things on DVDs, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I rented Iron Giant anyway. But I looked up whatever, like, there's a bunch of YouTube channels that just post like old VHS trailer reels. So I looked up Iron Giant, and the very first trailer on the Iron Giant VHS tape was Jack Frost.
Look for this winter's coolest video.
When you play that, no matter where I am, I can hear it.
Oh,
God.
Bullet And I guess because there's a whole bunch of other Christmas things, I guess because it came out around winter, it's like, oh, let's just dump a bunch of Christmas trailers on here. So, and then eventually mid 2000s, I think it was around the time I was getting back into like Batman. I think it was after I had finally seen the Tim Burton movies, because when I grew up, I had only seen Batman and Robin. I had never seen the first three, and so it was like spending like spring break or summer or like sick days at grandma's house and going to the video store near her and renting those. And it was like, oh, I really like Michael Keaton as Batman. Maybe it's finally time to give this a shot. So I watched Jack Frost, and it was partially like, oh, this is really stupid. And then partially, hey, this is actually kind of good. And then I didn't think of it again until the internet and all the memes and people joking about Snow Dad's better than No Dad. And like one of the most validating things ever for me, like people in my family being like, the snowman's not that scary. What are you getting all worked up about? And then finding Roger Ebert's review of Jack Frost, where he's like,
the snowman was creepy.
Yes.
I had the fingernails on the blackboard effect as I was looking at this unattractive, uncharismatic, weird creation with its... I didn't like the way its mouth moved, and its its anorexic little twigs for hands. And then all I could think of was, get me out of here before I have to look at this creature one more second.
When I was like, thank you.
Honestly, yes. Quite frankly, they could have gone with a much nicer design. I know they wanted it to be sort of like humanoid, but just the way that the facial features are just so small and vaguely human-like.
For me, even as a kid, the whole thing was the eyes, because they gave him like the Michael Keaton eyebrows, and then it wasn't until like the last couple years that I noticed, like watching the movie and seeing like press images, that he's got like irises.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
God,
what?
Which is funny because initially George Clooney was going to play the role, and they designed the puppet a lot more like George Clooney, something to Batman's, but yeah.
You can see it in the mouth. The mouth looks a little more Clooney, but I don't have pictures up side by side. But I mean, the eyebrows look more like Keaton. Like they've got that really pronounced look that look really Keaton. But like eyes and mouth, I can see George Clooney. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that man has fantastic eyebrows.
But
anyway.
And then over the last few years, it's kind of worked its way into the Christmas rotation, and more each time. It's like there's a reason why everyone makes fun of this movie, and we'll get into those. And I'm not going to act like it's like perfect or anything, because we'll get into it. But it's like, in a lot of ways, I think it's a pretty good Christmas movie.
Honestly, yes, I do agree.
Honestly, there would really not be that much wrong with this movie at all, outside of just being a cheesy 90s flick, if they had just made the snowman a little less uncanny and a little more cartoony.
The thing is with this movie, because I don't really have a long history with it, it's kind of one of those movies I knew existed, and I never really got around to watching it, despite the fact that we did own it on DVD. Then eventually the internet kind of convinced me, oh, it's probably not worth your time, and I friggin' love the How Did This Get Made episode on it. That's a classic right there.
And I'm glad that they opened a store and they made a Jack Frost ugly Christmas sweater, because that's now in my holiday rotation. The Yay, Snow Dad is better than No Dad sweatshirt. It's glorious.
I fucking love when they decorate the Cinerama with a giant version of Jack Frost.
Yes. That was another thing where it's like, it was already creepy enough, but like, ooh. Here I am, little ones. Come inside my belly and watch my film.
And I thought when my local mall had a giant ass poster of Cat in the Hat 2003, that was where Nightmare Fuel was going to reach its peak.
Oh, yeah. You were right to say that. Oh, man.
Well, speaking of Night Fuel reaching its peak, one more thing I have to go back to the Klasky Suspo logo on. Just recently, a few weeks ago, I finally saw a picture of what their building headquarters looked like and what the outside was painted in, and all I can really say is, if I just walked into that building in real life, I'd probably actually start freaking out.
Once upon a time in Hollywood should have flashed forward to the day and showed them at the Jack Frost premiere.
Yes. So, my relationship with this movie is very brief until today. We had the VHS and never really watched it. It was just part of the tape collection my parents built back then that we never really watched, and the Snowman did freak me out a little bit as a kid. Not to, PTSD like Ryan has, unfortunately, but the Snowman did unsettle me. And then I can't remember if it was either on TV or if I just let my curiosity get the best of me and put the tape in. Because all I remember of the actual movie was the beginning where he's in the band and it's like, oh, Frosty the Snowman, was a jolly happy soul. And I was just like, this is stupid and boring, and changed the channel.
Well, I will say, though, I actually really like the song Don't Lose Your Faith in Me, Baby. Like, Tony introduced me to it.
I like both of the Jack Frost band songs. Like, for me, like, that version of Frosty is the one I go to normally.
Yeah,
like Frosty the Snowman's never been like a Christmas song that not that I thought it was bad, but not one that I really listened to. But then once I more recently kind of got more into this movie, it's like, hey, that's kind of like that. And so I've worked that in, and then also Have a Little Faith. Like, I'll listen to that like recreationally too. Like, I just like that big like 90s rock sound, and both of those have that. So they're good. I like them.
That's what I found weird about my reaction, is that I actually kind of love bluesy stuff like that. But for some reason, my young mind was just like, I don't like this.
Boring.
I mean, if you waited around, you would have heard Hanson.
Yeah, so virtually, I didn't really have much of a relationship with this movie. I guess the closest thing I had at that point, up until, semi-recently, was the Nostalgia Critic review of it. And then at a New Year's party, I was with some friends, and just to pass the time, we put on this, and I was actually kind of digging it. I was actually, talking to Ryan while watching it, and that was like the impetus to get this episode going, and just like, I'm not gonna lie, this movie is much better than it has the right to be, quite frankly.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it great, and I will say that I do think the second act kind of falters, and any scene with the snowman does kind of drag for me, but the first act and last act actually work a lot better than I thought it would, and honestly, I don't think this movie deserves that bad a reputation. Like, there's a lot to make fun of, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it works when it works.
Yeah, it is a tropey 90s family movie, but it's a pretty good tropey 90s family movie.
It's really like effective in parts, and I would like agree that it's maybe the middle is where it's the weakest, but like the opening before he becomes the snowman, like setting up that family, like, well, for one, I'll say that like Michael Keaton, Kelly Preston, Joseph Cross are really good in this. Their family chemistry is great.
I love them so much. The family scenes that we get with them are so good. I know the inevitable was coming, but I did not want Jack to die.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know the inevitable is coming, and it makes you like actually give a shit about it.
It's nice that they don't make him like an asshole. He's just like,
he makes a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I did write maybe the most likable absentee father ever.
Listen, the last movie we watched with an absentee father was Casper: A Spirited Beginning, and this movie at the least managed to make Jack likable, unlike that movie with Steve Guttenberg.
It's wild and crazy guy day!
You sure about that?
That was what was a really big breath of fresh air for me about this movie, because it's like every other time that like trope does that, it's like always like super unpleasant and everyone's like yelling at each other. And this one, everyone's just kind of chill about it. Even the kid is like a little concerningly chill with everything that happens in this movie.
Yeah, and it's like not over dramatic or like exaggerated. It's not like the dad's a jerk, but it's not like they're just extremely like saccharine, like too perfect family. Like it feels pretty believable. The quote, like Kelly Preston, when like he goes into the studio and he promises Charlie he's going to go to the hockey game and then he can't make it. That the 90s movie scene, you can't make the hockey game.
Which Inside Out feels like an apology for that trope. Like, you don't have to come to every game.
Yeah, I think in this one, the whole thing is like, in this moment, he's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely be there, Charlie. I'm going to be there. And then he doesn't. And then it's the line Kelly Preston has, like,
one of these days, Charlie's gonna score his first goal and you won't see it. Just like you never saw him with the measles or the time you jammed the Fig Newtons into the slide projector. Those things only happen once, then they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh, like, and I think that scene's great. Oh, the other moment that I liked was the butt dad moment where he's going to the studio.
That
and
is
it's
such
like...
a good dad joke.
But Dad got a laugh out of me.
I gotta go.
But Dad, I wanna...
What, Dad? Did you just call me Butt Dad? Is that the kind of thing Coach Gronick is teaching you guys? Butt Dad? By the way, that would make you Butt Boy. Bye. Bye, Butt Family.
Yeah, cause, I mean, it's a cute, like, cheesy little joke, but it's also like a nice twist on it. It's not like him on his cell phone getting into the car. It's like, oh, that's nice, Charlie, ba-ba-da-ba-da, and then just goes. It's like doing a little twist on it where Jack is giving Charlie attention and not blowing him off, but also trying to be like, I gotta go. I got this thing I gotta do. Not that this movie's like subversive or anything, but it's like you said, a breath of fresh air that they're doing some of the tropey 90s things, but they're not going like too far to where it's like the most tropey, most overdone, most eye-rolling version of it.
Yeah.
Unironically, my favorite line in this movie, going into the family bits again, is when they're building a snowman. Michael Keaton takes a carrot, puts it towards the snowman's bottom, and then the kid goes, Dad! And then Michael Keaton's like,
Oh, I thought you said hose. Sorry.
Unironically great.
I was just getting Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibes from that line.
No, that don't rhyme with walls.
No, but this does.
And then Eddie just castrates a weasel. Pretty graphic for the movie, but, you know.
So this movie, in a strange way, reminds me a lot of Country Bears 2002, Super Mario Brothers 1993, and Cat in the Hat 2003. This one feels like an adaptation of something that doesn't exist, I guess aside from Frosty the Snowman and Jack Frost. And it feels like as an adaptation, it doesn't really work of it. But as a movie in its own right, and if it was just simply separated from whatever that source material may be, I think it mostly does work on its own.
Oh, it does.
Also, I don't care what anyone says, despite the horrifying fucking, like, cat makeup, Cat in the Hat 2003 is one of the funniest fucking movies ever made.
Correct. Like I said, the biggest crimes of those three movies are being adaptations of those source materials. Otherwise, they all slap.
Listen, if I can defend Inspector Gadget 1999, y'all can defend Cat in the Hat 2003, and even I still think that movie's a banger.
Exactly.
It's ironic, too, because Kelly Preston's in that.
Yeah.
As the mom.
She is!
That's right. May she rest in peace, because sadly she passed away in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, she's also in... Like, so she's in one of my favorite Christmas movies. She's in my favorite rom-com too, Addicted to Love with Matthew Broderick.
Oh yeah, she's also in Jerry Maguire.
It's ironic too. I was thinking, like, to myself, if Kelly Preston was in The Cat in the Hat 2003, it's kind of surprising Michael Keaton wasn't in a Seuss adaptation. I can kind of see him in the guy role in a live-action Green Eggs and Ham movie. Not saying they should have made that, but,
Too late, I'm funding it.
Also, one more quick thing. If you think that I'll fall under the spell of every single childhood movie of mine that had a weird CGI thing, it did not work with Son of the Mask. That's all I'm gonna say.
Son of the Mask is just a repulsive movie anyway.
Yeah, Son of the Mask is just fucking horrible.
You three might be the only people I know who have ever seen Son of the Mask. The only three in the country.
I wish I did.
On the planet.
There is only one remotely redeemable thing about that movie, and it's the Ryan Cabrera song that plays in the end credits.
A fucking man.
Yep.
That song is genuinely beautiful, and I feel sorry for anybody who had to listen to it at the end credits of Son of the Mask, when your brain is still comprehending the fact that it saw a baby piss on Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not watching it now. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that about the adaptation thing, or feeling like almost an adaptation, is that I think it was supposed to be. I think originally it was Sam Raimi directing and George Clooney starring. And then I can't remember what order of things, because I think it was supposed to be a Frosty adaptation when it was the two of them. And Sam Raimi dropped out, and that caused Clooney to leave, or if Clooney left, and that's caused Sam Raimi to drop out. But one left, and that caused the other to leave, and then that led to Michael Keaton and first-time feature director Troy Miller from Mr. Show.
This movie's a backdoor movie for Mr. Shows alongside Run, Ronnie, Run, which Troy Miller also directed.
Yeah, and for being a first movie, for coming from a cheesy little HBO sketch show, a great cheesy little sketch show, but still...
Absolutely.
Just in terms of their means, it is a silly little sketch show. But like jumping to feature director and having the movie look this good, like part of me saying that I think it's a pretty good Christmas movie is not just like the family stuff, but the vibes of this movie. Like there's some great Christmas imagery. They're like moments where like you could pause it and like I feel like you could like frame it and put it up over your fireplace like around the holidays. Like there's some gorgeous shots and some great like production design.
I love the cinematography in this movie. It is so good.
The Christmassy vibes are very much helped by the fact that this takes place in Colorado, one of the most snowiest mountainous areas in the US. What is a more Christmassy state than Colorado?
Funny enough, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, the person who did the cinematography for this movie is, and I'm not kidding, Frank Capra III, aka one of the relatives of the director of It's a Wonderful Life.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I was going to mention that because I what I noticed the name was he was first assistant director, and so I just found that funny that on some other Christmas movie it's first assistant director Frank Capra III.
So we open up on a Jack Frost concert where it basically looks like the House of Blues.
Oh, by the way, just putting it out there, the dad's name is actually Jack Frost. First name Jack, last name Frost.
And they mentioned that. I don't know if it's like someone, because there's like, I think like 4 credited writers. I don't know if someone was doing a rewrite and they were like looking at their premise and like, I'm going to throw a line in here. He thinks this is stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Why me? Why a snowman? I mean, could the universe really be that unoriginal? I don't know. I mean, is it the name, Jack Frost? Because if that's it, that's not even clever.
Yeah, you're making fun of it, but you are still actively doing it, movie, so...
Yeah, this movie does give us a couple of good snowman quipping.
Having a man named Jack Frost be incarnated as a snowman is a hell of a joke on God's end. He knew what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine being a guy named Jack O'Leary and then you get reincarnated into a Jack-O-Lantern.
And also this movie has its own equivalent of the Marvin Berry joke, but with Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah, Dweezil Zappa has a cameo in this. So there's got to be like a non-zero chance that the producers bribed him with chocolate lasagna to be in this.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, like, it works less like the iconic moment in Back to the Future. Great scene. But, like, logistically, if you break it down, I mean, this is Back to the Future. We're talking about who is logistically breaking down that movie. But if you were to a 1950s telephone and you pointed at the band from the side of the stage, that's not going to do a damn thing.
Listen to this! Listen to this! Listen to this!
I'm helping! I'm helping!
Dweezil Zappa on his cell phone and then in the back of the venue pointing it at the thing. I feel like a 1990s cell phone doing that is not going to be good either. What are we talking about here?
You'd probably end up, it'd probably be like, you know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
It just cuts to the other end of the call. Blood is pouring out of their ears.
Also, Mark Addy plays Mac, who plays keyboard for the Jack Frost band. And at one point, Jack kisses him on the head. So he and Kelly Preston and Mac are all polyam. Change my mind.
I think I heard somewhere that there was a member of Yes played one of the band members in this movie.
That's right.
I think the composer is the guitarist.
Trevor Rabin, yeah.
Oh, yeah, him.
Yeah. But about him like kissing the guy on the head is like I do like them showing like a very healthy, like loving platonic relationship between two men, and then like the talk Matt gives to Charlie later on, and even in like the talks Jack gives to Charlie, and then it's like men talking about like life and feelings, and it's not like just because Charlie is like a hockey kid and the dad's a hockey dad, it's like, oh well, it's not like any of Charlie's male role models are Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
In this.
There are some really healthy views of masculinity in this movie that are
Absolutely.
very subtle, and I really do appreciate that.
Man, I miss when that was the norm.
And also, I really love that Mac takes care of Gabby and Charlie even after Jack's death later in the movie. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
I always forget if there's a shot where it suggests that they are together at the end, or if I'm just perpetually Mandela affecting myself.
I didn't really buy it that way. I think that Mac maybe had a secret rule. It would probably be weird to date my dead best friend's wife, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
My dead best friend's wife was my favorite song by the Cars.
Yeah.
In all fairness, endlessly Mandela affecting yourself is probably just a symptom of ADD.
Huzzah.
That, or early onset dementia. Or both. Why not both?
It's both.
Also, as if the Zappa children cameos didn't end there, Moon Unit Zappa also makes a cameo as the teacher.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and also this movie takes place in Colorado, so I'm like, where the fuck is Casa Bonita?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when does Cartman show up? like, you just see him on the bully side of fucking, like, Snowball Wars.
Wait, Carman, like the Christian singer?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one I think I already mentioned him on the Bible Man one.
I hate gay people. We should take over the government.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned how Sam Raimi was initially to direct this movie. There's a shot in this movie that I swear to God looks exactly like the Doc Ock eye shot from Spider-Man 2. Like, during the snowball fight scene.
Oh, the snowball fight scene is excellent. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Don't you mean Doc Frost?
I was living vicariously through this entire segment, which is a bunch of kids having this army-esque snowball fight between the good kids and the bully, who basically looks like he stepped out of late 90s haircuttery poster.
It's school bully Derek Whibley from Sum 41.
You can tell he's a bad guy because he has frosted tips.
Jack Frosted Tips.
It's not enough that Michael Jackson got a shot-for-shot remake of Bad with children in it. Did he really need Saving Private Ryan, too?
And then we're introduced to Charlie's, I guess, sidekicks. Andy Lawrence, future director of Money Plane.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to bet on a dude fucking an alligator. Money Plane.
Is there any relation to Joey Lawrence?
Yeah.
I fucking knew it.
The third Lawrence brother, because the only way Andrew can get a bigger part than Matthew and Joey is by directing the movie himself.
They all had a TV show together at one point. I think it was like Brotherly Love or something.
Oh, wow.
Also, we bring up Iron Giant. One of the friends in the movie is Ellie
Marienthal.
Yeah.
Who Tony, for some reason, keeps thinking was the bully, even though they look nothing alike.
Yeah.
Talk to bully like, oh yeah, Hogarth is in Jack Frost, and be like, oh yeah, he plays the bully. I'm like, no. What are you talking about?
I mean, to be fair, the bully does look a lot like Eli's character in The Country Bears, so maybe that's why he thought that.
Eli Marienthal, I have a conspiracy theory with his casting in this, because Joseph Cross, I think he did a few other things, but Eli Marienthal, like, he was the main character in The Iron Giant. He was Stifler's brother in the American Pie movies. He was like the love interest in, I think it was Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. I think that's the one he's in.
Oh, yeah.
He was the brother in Country Bears. He was Robin in a few DC animated universe things. So he's like, not that he was like a major child star, but he was probably outside of Andrew Lawrence, like of the child stars in this, probably the most visible. And I'm wondering if he was cast in the Charlie role when George Clooney was attached, because he looks like he could be George Clooney's son.
I could see it, yeah.
Maybe.
And it's like, oh, well, you don't look like Michael Keaton, so let's cast somebody else, and we'll keep you in the movie. I have no evidence to back that up, but it's just kind of like the roles he was having compared to the roles Joseph Cross was having, and the fact that George Clooney was going to be in the movie, and they kind of look, I don't know.
We're through the looking glass here, people.
There's so much weird innuendo in this movie that I was completely thrown aback by them saying, "Eat snow, you little wieners."
They don't say shit, but I did admire, like, for a movie that's trying to aim to be, like, a family movie, that, like, in that scene, one of the kids says pissed, and then later on, when Charlie's having that kind of breakdown, like, shoveling the snow, like, he's like, damn it. Like, being kind of realistic with how the kids talk. They're not, like, doing sugar-coated Disney, like, the Santa Claus version of, like, how kids would talk.
Yeah, it's not pure flex, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sugar, honey, iced tea. Also, during the snowball fight, did anybody notice the purple dinosaur that got hit with a snowball?
Yes.
I was just about to say that.
We're trying to escape the purple dinosaurs, not be reminded of them. We just freed ourselves from this curse.
There's no escape.
We're never free.
Also, I know the bully is dumb, but how did he fall for the fucking brain freeze gag?
Those moments are, like, you talk about the middle chunk being kind of like the part where it kind of comes down. I talk about it being like a great, like, kind of family drama Christmas movie. Not that these moments are bad, because it adds, like, some, like, appeal, like the kitschy 90s value of it, but moments like the snowball fight and the snowboard chase, like, those are the moments where it's like, oh, okay, this is the corny 90s movie stuff coming in. And so the whole mentality of, like, oh, the bully falls for the brain freeze feels like,
yeah,
we're writing a thing for kids. Don't overthink it.
Also, when they go home, we meet Chester, and he's
Chester
a
is
good boy.
He is definitely a Jack Russell Terrier, which those are very, very good dogs.
He looks like the Teletubbies dog.
He does. His head is so
Yeah.
floofy, too.
He's got a Kipper mustache.
Yay, good boy.
I will say, why do they let him just wander outside wherever he wants? Like, there are coyotes, there are mountain lions. I'm still traumatized from Russia's Wild Tiger. I'm just like, don't let your damn dogs out in the snow.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for those pesky Colorado tigers. Well, I mean, there are mountain lions, so I guess those are Colorado tigers.
As he's heading home, we get our first of 3 Hanson songs, because this was, like, I guess, Hanson at their height. This was, like, the movie they, like, attached themselves to, and it didn't do well, so way to go, guys.
Is it really the 90s until every major, like, teen pop band ever signs themselves onto something that they're gonna regret later?
Just a few years until we finally get Penny and Me tonight. Just hang in there, guys.
Okay, so far we got Dweezil Zappa and we got Hanson. So this is slowly turning into a Weird Al show reunion the more we get through this.
That's right.
But the thing with the Hanson is there's an interview Michael Keaton did on the press for this movie with a woman named Bobby Wygant, this sweet, older, she sounds Southern lady, and he's just messing with her like,
now, Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong. You know and love and have all the Hanson CDs, don't you?
I have what?
I kind of figured that's what we were... You know the guys. You know these guys. No, really, you do.
So, the scenes with Jack with his family are genuinely hard for me to riff on.
Absolutely. They're very well done.
They're really well directed. The chemistry is just beautiful with these 3.
In another great 90s movie house, because for some reason, every 90s movie had an amazing house.
Oh, that house looks so cozy.
It does. Oh my god.
And it had the music memorabilia. That's my bread and butter, too.
Yes. One quick note I gotta make about the little snowman scene is that at some point their neighbor yells at them and they say, "Sorry, Mrs. Wilkins." And I'm like, wow, a movie mentioning Wilkins and having a Jim Henson shop creature. Sure hope no one blows up for some reason.
I wish she blew up. She should have minded her business.
Yeah.
With this camera, I shoot pictures of people who don't drink Wilkins coffee. I'm ready. Shoot. Anybody else?
And you just know she's about to post on r/my neighbors from hell.
Speaking of the house,
and Freeman is something totally different.
Charlie says, well, 2 can play at that game, posts on the r/boomers being fools.
Wait till I post on r/child free.
As we were talking about, like I said, I am not a fan of the absentee dad trope in movies, and I won't say that this movie necessarily reinvents the wheel with it, but I will say the thing that makes it far less annoying than it would be for me is the fact that Jack genuinely does try to go to Charlie's game, and he has the sweet moment of giving him the harmonica. Like, that genuinely makes him really likable.
I love the story of how, Jack gets the harmonica. He tells Charlie that he got it the day that he was born because he went to a music store down the street, picked up the harmonica, and knew that it was something special. And he literally tells him,
I walked out, had a great mood, bought myself that harmonica. And I've never had a harmonica that played better than that one. My favorite one. Now it's yours.
and it's such a sweet moment.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you just know that somewhere there's the alternate version of this movie where he went to the Gremlins gift shop and got a haunted harmonica. Which, by the way, if I had a nickel for every time a Warner Brothers Christmas film involved a creepy puppet running amok and a main character who works at a bank, yada yada yada.
And like I said, I fucking love Don't Lose Your Faith in Me, baby. Like, and the way it plays over the hockey scene just is fantastic. And also we gotta talk about Henry Rollins in this movie, because he is delightful.
Yeah, Henry Rollins is in this movie.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time Henry Rollins was in a late 90s family-friendly project alongside Batman, yada, yada, yada.
I love that his mentality with most of the movies he does is that he wants to be able to fuck with people when he shows up in movies if they're watching it on like a plane, so this was probably one of them.
You know what? Michael Keaton is a trickster god.
I mean, yeah, everything he did in Beetlejuice was not a practical effect or CGI. Michael Keaton can just do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's be real, Beetlejuice would probably turn him into Jack Frost as a joke.
Exactly.
And yes, that includes the inflation scene.
I mean, you mentioned like Henry Rollins just like going nuts. If you look closely, like Eli Marienthal is like on the verge of breaking. Like when Henry Rollins is giving his big pep talk and he's just being totally unhinged.
History is made by winners, conquerors, barbarians. Now I want you to go out there and wipe the ice with your filthy butts! All right? Play clean, have a good game.
I love Henry Rollins' arc, quote unquote, in this movie because it relies entirely on him being unhinged.
You just know his character is the type to listen to Jordan Peterson be all, look how manly I am, and then he sees a talking snowman and he's like,
yeah.
Oh, speaking of listening to things, this town has like the most prejudiced rock station because it's like, we'll play the 70s, we'll play the 90s, no 60s or 80s. Okay, dude.
What you got against the 60s and 80s? Those are two very specific decades to have beef with.
Yeah.
I guess in the 90s they were uncool or something, which it doesn't hold up because later on in the movie he plays Billy Idol, so...
Yeah. Hey, also, Billy Idol will never be uncool, man.
Rock the cradle of love, baby.
But you know Billy Idol's from the 70s. Shut up, shut up, shut up!
The song they played was 80s, so hypocrite.
So the only thing I'm not a big fan of in the first act is how much shit Jack gets for missing the game. It's like, okay, yeah, he should have let them know, but also at the same time, he's getting a big gig. You're probably going to be rich if he gets this. He'll have all the time to spend.
This does suffer a lot from that 90s trope of, but if I do all this extra work, we're going to be set for life. And everyone's like, no, you need to spend time with your family instead.
The next time I say we're going to the lake, we're going to the lake.
Eddie Murphy's entire character arc, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it a big ass hand.
Also, this movie literally proves that it would have been better for him to go off and do the gig because when he tries to go back to his family, he literally dies.
Exactly.
Yeah, God kind of punishes him because in a way he kind of says, you could have waited another day to see your family. This could give you millions of dollars. You know what? Guess you're gonna have to find out the hard way. Cue car crash.
Like, do they have life insurance or are they just now doomed?
I mean, I will give the movie this in that it kind of does establish that nobody wants to go to this Christmas gig, but they have to anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like if you did not know, because the whole movie, the whole marketing hinges on this premise that the guy dies and becomes a snowman. That's the whole movie. They weren't going to sell it as anything other than that. But I mean, I'm trying to think of how it would play if you went to the movie not knowing that, because there is kind of a subversion there where he has the epiphany that like in some other family movies it would take the guy the whole movie to get to, where like he's on the way there and he realizes, no, I'm making a mistake, and goes back home, and then they have the joke of, oh well, none of us wanted to go anyway. And then he's driving home with the upbeat song playing, and then it slowly fades away, and like they have the echo effect on it as the storm picks up, and then the car crash hits, and then that like almost smash cut to the 1 year later.
Damn you,
thing.
Lucinda Williams!
The plot of this movie is, God damn it, my damn wiener kid caused me to get into a car crash and die, and now I'm a snowman.
Oh God, yeah, that's right, because we didn't talk about the scene where he's about to go on vacation with his family to the cabin for Christmas. He gets the call and he tells his family. Surprisingly, the wife is okay with it. It's kind of like implied that even she is telling him to go ahead and do this. But Charlie is like really pissed off to the point where he's like, you know what? Fuck this harmonica. You can take it back. Dude, your dad's going to be a fucking millionaire in a few years.
Yeah.
You can take not seeing him until the day after Christmas.
To be fair, he is getting into the music industry, and I mean, if he doesn't have a good lawyer, he might not be making millions of dollars, so.
Very true.
I mean, I have known some touring musicians in my day, and a lot of them do have to make sacrifices to their personal lives. Sure. You know, and that includes missing important events. That's just, unfortunately, at the risk of sounding like a boomer, that's just the name of the game. That's kind of what you're getting into when you become a musician.
Oh, another name for this movie. Hey kid, your dad could have become a millionaire. Now he's a live leak video.
Also, if I had a nickel for every time a Michael Keaton movie had a car crash start the plot and that was made by Warner Brothers, something.
As much as we joke about this movie, the emotional beats in this movie are just fucking incredible. There were moments during this period where I literally just had to shut the movie off and just regroup because I was getting legit bummed out.
I did tear up when it cuts to a year later and then Charlie's trying to work in the driveway and he starts really piling away the snow because you could tell that the idea of his mom possibly slipping on the snow and crashing as well terrifies him.
Oh God, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and I never put that extra layer onto it yet.
All I could think of was I do relate to the rage of trying to shovel your driveway and then the plow shows up.
Oh yeah, fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I hope his tire popped, quite frankly.
Yeah. Was that the one played by Ahmet Zappa, by the way?
Was it?
Yes, Snowplow Driver, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a lot of Zappas in this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
Just like Trevor Rabin, like...
But not Frank for some reason.
Well, he's dead.
Oh, that's right.
Although Stevie Ray Vaughan has an on-screen cameo, even though he's been dead for 8 years by this point. But anyway.
Sometimes I'll listen to artists and I won't even look up a damn thing about their life. I thought Frank Zappa was still alive. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Oh, God. And because this movie wasn't breaking my heart enough, when we get the scene where Charlie's building the snowman, they have the fucking audacity to play Landslide by Fleetwood Mac over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, like, that song is, like, one of those, like, overplay classic rock songs, but it is used so effectively here.
Absolutely.
Like, you ever feel like sometimes a movie is, like, at this point, just directly grabbing you by the fucking tear ducts, squeezing the shit out of them, going, cry, you motherfucker, cry!
Also, another South Park comparison, so...
Oh, man. So, you know, when I worked retail... For some fucked up reason, maybe the people who were creating these playlists were just emotionally bankrupt, but Landslide was on regular rotation at my job.
Oh.
It's one thing to be shopping at the supermarket and having this depressing fucking song come on. It's another when you're a cashier and this comes on.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I'm
man.
Sorry.
So after that, he plays the harmonica and the magic.
First, I just want to say, wow, kid, you suck at harmonica.
So they do later explain that while he was blowing on the harmonica, he wished his dad would return, so the harmonica can just do that, I guess.
Are you kidding me? He was in range of the wishing machine?
Yes, he was.
Well, god damn it.
I'm thinking less like how the magic logistically works, but more how they visually showed it. Like, is it a little too cheesy or is it effective?
Well, I mean, it's a movie about a magic snowman with a dead man's soul in it, so I don't think I can probably judge how cheesy and over the top it is.
It winds up paying off by the end, I think.
It does, yeah.
But you just know if this movie came out today, they would give some scientific bullshit reason as to why he's a snowman, because, realism.
Because Tumblr nerds ruined fucking everything for us and they made it so, we have to logically, scientifically explain what's in these movies? Fuck you, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you ruined cinema.
That's why I love in Beetlejuice, where, spoilers for a 3-month-old movie, they just say Adam and Barbara found a loophole, and they don't explain beyond that. It's like, to explain why they're not in the movie. It's like, yeah, that's perfect.
No digitally de-aged, no deep fakes, none of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes a wizard did it is a perfectly fine explanation.
Exactly. And speaking of horror, we finally meet the snowman.
The fucker.
Ugh.
I've become so desensitized to it that my brain can be like, yep, objectively that's creepy, but it doesn't really affect me anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how he looks.
It's less the puppet that bothers me as much as the CGI. Like, I love me some cheesy late 90s CGI, but I don't know. Something about this was giving me the Spawn movie from the late 90s vibes.
I mean, it's not good CGI. I actually think he looks a little less creepy in CGI because the details are a little softer. I think it's when it's like a practical puppet, which, by the way, it's the Jim Henson Company as a piece of puppetry. It's really good.
It is. Yeah. It's a great puppet.
The design, they could have maybe fine-tuned that design, like a few more drafts of the design.
I mean, I'd say this is somebody who has a big soft spot for the Jim Henson Country Bears designs. Like, I don't know, there's kind of a weird charm to them to me.
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked the puppet better than the CGI. Like, not to be all, practical good, CGI bad. But in this case, practical good, CGI bad. I don't know what to tell you.
Which, like, this movie, like, to get into the snowboard scene is, like, for a movie, because apparently this costs up to $80 million, which is like a lot for like a late 90s Christmas movie. And I mean, in a lot of ways it shows, like in some of the visuals, and I think they built like the street of Charlie's house on a soundstage, because there are moments where it's like, oh, that's not natural light. And the fact that they're dealing with the puppet and it's probably like on a contained space, it's better than a whole bunch of locations.
Yeah.
And then for the puppets, so there's obviously a lot of money, and the CGI, not great, but like for the late 90s, it's good enough.
Yeah.
What gets me is during that snowboard scene, how of all the effects, how is the blue screen the one they totally screwed up?
Yeah, that looked like shit.
That was rough.
Blue screen in
that
that
was
scene.
pretty rough.
Also, there's some weird logic in where he can feel pain, because he doesn't feel any pain when the dog bites off his stick arm, but he does feel the heat and such.
Also, not to kind of spoil it, but he also doesn't feel pain when his child, like, launches 50 hockey pucks through him.
Just completely tearing his insides up.
And he's just like, good job, kid.
I guess because the melting is like, once the snowman melts, no more snowman, but you could just patch up the holes with more snow. And so maybe the melty is painful because melty is dying time. I don't know.
Not to be a Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's what I'm going to call those nerds now, Neil deGrasse Tysons. But
good, because he's a fucking asshole anyway.
Pain is a response to stimuli that could potentially cause harm to you. And the only thing that can really cause harm to a snowman is melting, so I guess that's where it makes sense.
As mixed feelings as I have on this scene, I do love it for having free ride, at the least, or when the snowplow picks him up.
Yeah, but it's the 1990-something re-record that they put in the Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock with.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when that was announced, I was excited that it was going to be in the game. I play the game. It's this shitty fucking re-record that sounds just way off and just, ugh.
Thank God the version on Mission Breakout sounds good, at least. But
Oh yeah, that's the original.
Well, I mean, Disney was forking over the money, you know. The whole thing is like when artists re-record stuff, sometimes it's for like streaming, but a lot of times it's for movies and TV if they don't own the rights to the recording. So it's like if the movie goes to the artist first to be like, hey, can we use your song? Okay. And then it's like, you could pay for the original version and pay all this extra money. Or we've got our own recording right here. You don't have to pay as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Weird Al. Boy, I'm a big fan. I especially love that video where
You sing one note and we'll be paying some goofball's publishing company from now till the end of forever.
So I'm disappointed. The first thing Jack should have done when he came to life was said, "It's snow time."
Yes. Oh, come on! They had the chance.
They really did. They really did.
Or they could have had him. They could have had him like grab a guy and go, "I'm Snowman."
Second.
Well, he does kind of get that later with
You the man.
No, you the man.
Nope, I'm the snowman.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey now.
They took that opportunity, but they didn't make any goddamn Beetlejuice jokes. So the second thing he should have done, just act like nothing happened, walk into his house, and fire up some Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
Yes. I'm just thinking. Hang on. I don't remember what year that commercial came out exactly.
I think the late 90s, yeah.
Watching this whole thing, I couldn't help but think to myself, was this whole movie inspired by a Campbell's commercial?
Yeah, and he doesn't eat any hot food. The only things he eats in the movies are frozen peas and frozen veggies, so... Which just sounds like hell.
Just frozen peas and frozen carrots, and then Kel Mitchell comes in a lunch lady costume.
Okay, I looked it up. That Snowman Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup commercial is from 93. That's more than enough time to inspire a movie that would come out in 98. This movie was inspired by a chicken noodle soup commercial.
Huzzah!
Our podcast misinformation, all you weirdos out there, just blast it into the ether till it's common knowledge.
Hell yeah.
Another thing with the snowboarding scene is that song, Hey Now Now.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
It's a great song. The thing is, a couple years ago, had Spotify on while I was doing something, and it was just a mix. And then that song starts, and I was like, that sounds familiar. And then it's like, oh my God, that's the fucking Jack Frost song. Well, and the thing about Hey Now Now is, like, before Jack Frost, like a couple months before that, it was in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So that's
God.
big movies. It was in one of the most horrifying films of 1998, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So
there we go.
Insert slide whistle here. But their other big song was something called Candy in the Sun, which is basically the same song. I hate being one of those, an artist, all their songs sound alike, but they're basically the same song. And I knew that it was in some movies. I'm going through a whole bunch of movies from 1999 this year. I watched Never Been Kissed like a few weeks ago, and then there was Candy in the Sun. It's like, there it is. They had their two songs, they put them in a bunch of movies, and then they called it a day.
Also, Gabby totally wanted to fuck the snowman even before she learned it was her husband. Like, just saw the way she was looking at it.
She takes the carrot off, puts it down lower. There, now it's a hose.
Oh my.
I mean, earlier in the movie, before he dies, there was an almost sex scene in this family movie.
Jack Frost.
World where your parents have sex.
Also, somehow their sink is still broken a year later, and he's like, oh, I never did fix that. Like, it's sweet, I guess, but why can't the mom just fix it?
Because a man has to do it. Women can't fix a sink, a man has to do it.
Another thing that does annoy me about this movie is that she still has some good scenes and some really sweet scenes with Charlie, but it feels like they kind of forget the mom exists at some point.
Once he dies, she just kind of comes in and out, and then at the end, it's kind of...
Because she has to go to bank job.
It's weird. Like, there's a weird, snowman rule in this movie, because for some reason, I don't know, the snowman wizard's gonna get him if he does this, but... He can talk to the kid and, let the kid acknowledge his existence, but for some reason he can't let his wife know he's a snowman.
He says he just doesn't want to be embarrassed by it. Like, that's the love of his life. And you're back to life, but you're as a snow. Which, I mean, that's more just like a vain thing, because, stop and think about it. It's like, What the fuck? Just talk to her.
Yeah, like, come on.
You got another chance. Just talk to your lady.
I think it would make your son's life a little bit easier if you walked up to your wife and said, hey, your son is not going psycho with grief. I actually am reincarnated as a snowman.
Also, when he finally reveals himself, Charlie, as his dad, I was half expecting the Splash Mountain Clickhole article to pop up. 5 times the snowman in my front yard told me he was my dad and was gonna marry my mom.
Yeah, I get that it's probably grief, but for some reason, Charlie just has a hard time recognizing his dad's voice.
Yeah, it's...
I would probably be able to figure out pretty quickly if my dad was a snowman based on voice alone.
Dad, what's my social security number? Dad, what's my date of birth? Just ask that.
Also, the chase scene, which we got to talk about, also a great sequence.
Absolutely.
Shitty blue screen aside.
Yeah, the scene where 2 children get crushed to death by giant snowballs.
They literally get crushed to death by not 1, but 2 snow boulders that they just so happen to have.
Yeah.
That are bigger than them.
That was like my biggest laugh because it's like the size of the ball and like the editing and the force that it hits it. It's like, they're dead. Like, there's no other explanation. They're dead.
This is just a family-friendly version of that scene where Peter, like, starts shoving Connie's, like, head in that fire extinguisher thing and slamming it, and Meg's going, Dad, stop!
Also, when Jack gets 2 snowballs thrown on his chest and they look like tits, then he's like, nah, and tosses them off. I'm just like, oh god, he's gonna go on that D-Trans documentary or Blair White's podcast.
No, I had canon that he was a cis guy who was, like, thinking about transitioning for a brief minute and then was like, nah, and he's, like, one of the coolest motherfuckers you know.
Hell yeah. See, that's how you do it.
I thought about it for a minute. I thought, would I like to have tits? And then I was like, nah.
I will say my one gripe about this chase scene
is it the fact that the small children turn into 40-year-old men.
Yes, they do.
Also, can you tell this was made in the to the extreme era?
I am shocked Tony Hawk wasn't in this.
What were you saying, Tyler?
Okay, so I know they wouldn't have done this, but this would have been the perfect time for Jack to come in riding a giant snowworm.
Yes.
I don't care if it's illogical. This is a movie about a man reincarnated as a snowman played by Michael Keaton.
Exactly.
Let me have this.
It took me a minute to realize you were going for Beetlejuice because, like, Sandworm, my brain is nowadays is more wired for Dune. So I'm just like Jack Frost has a whole cult of like how Paul Atreides does, but they're all worshiping the snowman.
Yes.
Long live the fighters!
I wonder what that snowman would look like if he was played by Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Well, no, you don't have to worry about that. You can just watch Hot Frosty on Netflix.
Oh, no, I need the edit of Jack Frost doing, like, one of those radical snowboarding moves, and then it cuts to Javier Bardem going, Lisa Algaib!
Also, the way he finally figures out that it's his dad is when he calls him Charlie Boy. It's like, I mean, it's sweet, and I know that's a nickname he was using for him constantly, but that's kind of a common nickname.
How did it take this long, you little twerp?
Yeah.
Okay, what is with dads and their nicknames for their kids being name gender? Charlie Boy, whatever girl.
At least he didn't call him Charlie Horse, so...
No, you know what? That's it. I changed my mind. I'm not child-free anymore. I'm gonna have a kid, name them Charlie, regardless of the gender, and I'm gonna call them Charlie Horse.
So I love the fact that, Jack is just somehow able to not only perfectly split a wooden sled into a snowboard, but Charlie is also able to ride it without any straps or falling off.
Yeah, it's...
I will say, I noticed, like, it's obvious when the, like, other kids turn into 40-year-old stuntmen, but there are shots where it looks like either they got really convincing doubles, or it's possible that Charlie and Derek Whibley actually were trained to snowboard, because it looks like a couple shots that could have been them.
You know what? The kid was granted magic, like, expert snowboarding powers from whatever benevolent snow Jesus turned his dead father into a snowman.
Also, we forgot to mention the fact that Jack saves his son from falling off of a cliff by catapulting himself from a sled.
Yeah, Derek Whibley tries to kill a kid.
Yeah, it's...
So, yeah, physics just don't exist in this movie.
Also, I know that he opens all the windows in the house and keeps, like, the freezer open and everything, but how the hell didn't Jack melt at least a little from the warmth of the house? Like, it's not gonna be that freezing inside the house.
Oh, Kit, he just put on some antifreeze before he went in the house.
Huzzah.
Okay, that mom is way too cool with the fact that her child just opened all the windows in the house during the winter when she's paying for the heating.
I would chalk that up to, it's like, that's not ever been his behavior before.
Yeah,
and
true.
then he's just acting generally weird. If he's all the time been like, I'm gonna do a whole bunch of stupid shit to the house, hoopity-doo, then yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Get mad at him, but...
I come from a household that was very anal about the heating bill, if you couldn't tell.
Touch me, thermostat!
Also before the internet, so he can lie to her that there's a science fair, so...
Yeah, he almost gets ratted out because she's like, oh, how's you and Charlie's science fair thing going? And she's like, what science fair thing?
Also, hi, David Cross cameo in the burger commercial. And I love that the scenes of the fire are what freak Jack out when he's watching the TV.
Yeah, it's footage from Backdraft.
Yeah.
A lot of that was just stuff from Mr. Show. And then, of course, we get our insurrectionist jump scare.
Yeah. What happened to you, man? You were Jimmy Pesto. But anyway.
Funny enough, Insurrectionist Jump Scare is the name of my Disturbed tribute band.
Anyway.
Also, we forgot to mention the Paul F. Tompkins cameo in this.
Yes, that's right.
Because he's an audience member during one of the concert scenes.
What is this? A crossover episode? But
that and Mr. Show's not Danny Tamborelli as the truck driver.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't get a Bob Odenkirk cameo because Saul Goodman would fit perfectly into this universe. Change my mind.
Can't change it when it's the facts.
Huzzah. Also, I just realized something. The kid's name is Charlie. The best friend's name is Mac. It's Always Sunny in Colorado.
There it is.
The gang puts a dead man in a snowman.
No, that's what they're going to do to Rickety Cricket in an episode.
They'll call me the snowman. I'll get in the ring and I'll throw snow around.
So I did clock out a lot during the second act, but I will say I actually really like the lair scene where...
That lair set is beautiful. Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on loan from Batman and Robin. You see Arnold Schwarzenegger like roaming around in the back.
Cool party.
Snow Dad's better than No Dad, Charlie.
What killed your dad, Charlie? The Ice Age.
So Jack finds out that Charlie quit the hockey team. And, he wants to, help him get back onto it and, find his motivation and everything.
And it's very sweet.
So this is where we get the scene where he basically just mutilates his father, cutting holes into him with hockey pucks.
It's when Jack teaches Charlie the J shot, and
I actually thought he said the gay shot at first.
Yeah, there's so many times where Jack keeps making jokes about having balls. I'm like, wow, a person related to the Jim Henson shop making inappropriate jokes. What is this, Muppet history?
Stop it, go.
Fuck you, Joshua Gillespie. I hope you fuck off. But anyway.
Innuendos being spouted out by a Jim Henson creature. What is this? It's a very merry Muppet Christmas?
9/11.
In hindsight, it kind of makes sense for it to be called the gay shot, considering there seems to be a lot of wrist action in there,
Yes.
You gotta do the wrist. You gotta use your wrist.
Ain't nothing heterosexual about hockey. Change my mind.
Not to be like a helicopter mom to a child that doesn't exist, but isn't hockey kind of dangerous for children to be playing?
Well, they did make 3 Disney movies about it, so...
The whole time I was watching it, I don't know if I've ever made the Mighty Ducks connection and how much that might have played a role in that being the whole thing with this movie. Speaking of which, the big climax of the movie is a hockey game. Hanson's back.
Which somehow Charlie's able to just rejoin the team by asking.
It's the Spider-Man homecoming of, what do you think's going to happen? They're just going to let you back on the team? Oh, Peter, welcome back on the team.
Which, funny enough, Michael Keaton's also in. But anyway.
Yes. It's all connected, man.
One of the funny things is that the coach now has, severe snowman-induced PTSD.
He ran into Jack while he was driving, and instead of running him over, he just drives backwards and runs away.
Yeah.
The alternate version of the movie where that's just the end. Like, ah!
It's just amazing that by the end of the movie, he just did not become a snowman conspiracy truther or something.
Oh, God.
Like, he's spouting just like this QAnon-esque bullshit.
Also, the day is saved by Chester being horny because Jack tells him, hey, look, Chester, I wonder if there's going to be any poodles about. That just causes him to just start running with him on the sled.
Yeah, because he's talking to the dog. He's like, wait, so how are we going to do this? He's like talking to the dog. He's like, hey, Chester, I really want you to help me get to my son's game in time. How are we going to do this? And then it's just a jump cut. Jack and Chester are wearing like a giant trench coat. Jack's on the bottom and Chester's on the top. Yeah, two tickets to the hockey game, please.
The thing I don't get about that is like, okay, and like a high of 70 degrees, yeah, the snowman would melt. But they treat like a 70-degree day like the asphalt is going to be scorching.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's like...
I mean, it is to a snowman.
Right, but like the steam coming off of the pavement, it's like, okay.
Climate change killed my snowman dad.
Now, and is it just me, or does like half melted Jack Frost kind of look like Mr. Rogers?
He kind of does.
Oh my God, he kind of does.
And the mom's bank is just somehow close to the hockey rink because everything in this town is just like 3 seconds away from each other.
She has to call in Billy Peltzer to cover the shift for her, and that's a Gremlins reference.
Yay, Gremlins.
So whatever.
The way he finally gets help from somebody is by having the bully help him out. And I fucking love the bully's reaction when the dad reacts to him saying stupid or just like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah, he has this reaction of like, is this actually fucking happening right now?
Although they bond over the fact that the bully says that he'd never met his dad, it's like, who fucking cares if you have that to relate to him? He called you a slur at one point. He literally calls him an ableist slur.
Like in like an ironic way, I like how they set that up where there's just like one line in the middle of the movie. It's like, yeah, so what if his dad died? I didn't even know my dad.
Oh, yeah.
And then nothing for the rest of the movie. Well, he gives him a look at like this Winterfest thing.
Oh, yeah, he looks at him at the Winterfest while the father-son snowman contest is going on. Hammering it on real thick, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Winterfest where the song Rock and Roll Hanukkah is playing.
Yeah, I wrote that down in my notes, the Rock and Roll Hanukkah song.
Yes.
It's not my place as a Gentile, but what the hell was that?
Yeah, but it did slap.
Why not? Give him some more songs, why not? But then, of course, that's the moment where we get the line of the movie, Snow Dad's better than no dad.
Hey.
And then everyone clap.
He said it. Up.
But
that's what they should have called this movie. They should have titled this movie Snow Dad's. But wait, was this ever the tagline for the movie or
no?
It should have been.
The tagline's something like, "Oh, this dad's going to become a whole lot cooler," or something like that.
It should have been Snow Dad's better than no dad, but I'm sure that would not make it past the advertisers because they'd be like, guys, there are kids with no dad.
Also, they jump a truck that somehow conveniently is going to the exact same cabin they stayed at a year ago.
Not quite. They have to jump off, and then we get the scene of him getting all snowed up again by sliding down the thing.
Yeah.
I love the line that he says here.
Fresh powder, my favorite.
That wasn't a Jack Frost line. That was Michael Keaton snorting coke before recording his lines, and they just so happened to catch it.
Also, I will say, while the scene is very sweet, maybe there's a better way to describe your son than your mark on the world.
It was
hashtag the jizz shot.
And I love that they're making such a big deal about getting him to someplace really cold so he doesn't have to melt. Cut to him inside of the cottage in front of a burning fire.
Yeah, you had one job. Also, when he's calling the mom and being like, it's me, I'm up here. I was just expecting him to say, what's your favorite snowman movie?
I love how it's so fucked up. If Jack didn't reveal that it was him during the phone call to the mom, it would have been like just straight up fucking nightmare fuel. Having a random stranger call you and say, your son's at the cottage, you better pick him up.
Imagine your son being missing, and then the disembodied voice of your dead husband goes, "It's okay. He's sleeping. Come get him at the cottage."
And it goes into both my favorite scene in the movie and a scene I have issues with. Like, we build up all this time about how we're going to get him up to the mountains so that he can live. And then he tells him he's going to die again. So it's like, what?
Well, then what the fuck did I drag you here for then, Dad?
That said, I did get really teary-eyed at this last few minutes. Like, this is a good scene.
It really is.
Like from the phone call, which, I mean, we can joke about the phone call. It is, like, in practical terms, silly, but like Michael Keaton's delivery and then Kelly Preston, like, trying to, like, hold back her tears.
Actual tears in her eyes, too.
Yeah.
And in that moment, and going back to the visuals, like the final, like, goodbye scene, like being at dawn, and when I was talking about, like, not being sure, like, the kind of glowy, swirly, like, thing for the magic, which, I mean, it's pretty kind of basic, like, to show magic in this, but to have his spirit appear, like, and for it to fly off at the end like that, I thought it worked, like, that way.
I heard this was also inspired off of The Snowman by Raymond Briggs, and if that's true, I really appreciate that they kept the bittersweet ending, and they didn't go the easy, everything's gonna be okay and he's back to life.
I'm just gonna live with my dad as a snowman forever. That sounds like hell on earth.
Yes.
But it's still a good scene. That scene where he starts singing the Ella Fitzgerald song as he goes, tears.
And then, I mean, it's kind of like the Mufasa line, but like as the spirit, like swirly things flying off, that like kind of bassy, like echoey, "I will always hear you."
Yeah.
Is like,
wow.
Oh God, yeah, that actually did get me tearing up.
Now go kill your evil uncle.
I still don't understand.
Paul, for the last time, the snowman told me to do this. Now, come on, we're gonna save the earth. Come on.
And as if I wasn't tearing enough, that's when they play How by Lisa Loeb, and I just...
Of course they do.
Oh, that fucking song. That's been on my sadness playlist for the longest time now.
which I had no idea until this year watching Twister in prep for Twisters, that it was from that movie.
Yeah, which that threw me for a loop because it feels like it's made for Jack Frost, which, funny enough, as much as I love the song and as much as it does get me teary-eyed, some of the lyrics do sound like, "Why did you come here? How do you breathe?" Yeah, that'd be the questions I'd be asking him too.
How do you sleep at night?
I mean, yeah, good question. How do you sleep as a snowman?
But that last shot where Chester's walking out into the snow is really damn beautiful, and we see Charlie reconnecting with his friends. That's a good scene.
It really is. Oh man, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm keeping the tapes for this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the tapes, but please put some duct tape over the snowman's face.
I'm going to say donation box only because this isn't really a movie that I'd ever want to watch again, but honestly, this is better than its reputation. Like, yeah, there's stuff to make fun of. Yeah, the second act kind of drags, but I think there are enough moments that I can say this is worth at least one watch. And once you learn kind of the crazy behind the scenes story of this movie, it begins to piece together a little more. And I still respect it for still being watchable overall.
On paper, the idea of a dead man being reincarnated into a snowman, shitty idea. But it's the execution and the story and the cast, that's what really makes this concept work, frankly. Absolutely. This movie should not have worked, but it did.
And if you think about, like, the pantheon, whatever, of Christmas movies, like, look at some of them and how, like, break down, like, the plot of It's a Wonderful Life. It's about a guy who wants to kill himself, and then A Christmas Story is about a kid who wants to take advantage of stand your ground laws. All these other things, like a guy dying and coming back as a snowman. Not too crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but not too crazy for a Christmas movie.
And to close out my thoughts in this movie, I'd like to read this quote from Henry Rollins. So that was fun, and I had just finished a movie called Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. I play this son's psycho hockey coach, so it was me and these 12-year-olds. In the movie, I yell and scream, "Go kill him!" and everything, and they know I'm nuts, so none of them pay attention to me. It's great to have all these precocious Hollywood 12-year-olds blow me off at every opportunity. It's great being a kid's film, be dissed by all these kids. I'm loving it.
Except for Eli Marienthal, who could barely hold back his laughter.
Huzzah!
What a legend.
I definitely give the film Disney Plus. I mean, keep the tapes. Because it's technically on Disney Plus. It counts.
Oh God, it is.
Oh, I just got a cease and desist from Agatha?
Oh God, she took over the podcast. But anyway.
I'll narrow down Randy's put tape over the box. Cut out a piece of black tape that looks like concealing the identity thing, but just put it over the eyes.
And we'll replace it with a cartoony snowman face, like it should have been the whole time. Then it would have been flawless.
Exactly.
Everything about the cover is exactly the same, but the snowman's face is the one from the cover of the horror movie.
Yes. So that would actually be less scary to me.
So thank you so much for joining us again, Ryan. Yeah. This was so much fun.
Thank you for doing this. I'm glad I told them how the sausage is made for the listener. Like, we will message sometimes. Like, people have lives outside of podcasts, and they will communicate with one another. I know this sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, in terms of the sausage we do make, we do have a meat packing plant. It's long story, but we lose money more than we make it.
We only put a few fingers in every food, but anyway.
Yeah.
Where
do you think Agatha's failed crab experiments go?
Oh no!
So you're admitting to fingering the sausages that you're okay?
Hey, it's called quality testing.
That's disgusting.
No, they were sending me notes as they were watching it. And which, I mean, I think it would have been fun if we were just kind of ragging on it too. And I was like the one person being like, I kind of liked it, but to get the reaction of oh no, that moment was kind of sweet. Oh, that was kind of cool. I was like, this is going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Aside from the fact that the Uncanny Snowman is very scary to me, this is a really good movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Little Christmas fun time for the family. And traumatizing the children.
Gotta traumatize the children on Christmas. It's a tradition.
Yes.
So do you have anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, one quick thing I didn't mention that was in the movie that will tie into a plug is, of course, one of the things that's been memed about the movie is how on Charlie's nightstand there's a bust of Superman from Superman the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah!
But it's the head of Batman from the new Batman.
I noticed that. I totally forgot to riff on that.
Yeah.
Is that Super Batman?
I was on the podcast Jump on the Batwagon earlier this year, which is a DC Animated Universe rewatch podcast, and I was on to talk about probably my favorite episode in any of the DC Animated Universe, and one of my favorite Superman stories ever, The Late Mr. Kent.
Hell yeah.
And had a great time, in which, by the way, any listeners who don't know that show, if you dig ADHD, just dumb, blunt vulgarity nonsense, it's a fun show. Check out my episode, of course.
Well, they're listening to us, so if they like this, they're going to like that. So.
Hell yeah.
And I was on the call, and one of them is James, who runs the Watchtower Database channel, the channel that does all those video essays about the DCAU. And in his office, I saw in the background, he had the Superman bust, the exact same bust.
Oh my God.
No Batman head. And I had a moment, I'm like, oh my God, that's it. And so the fact that it has the Batman head, I'm going to assume someone in the prop department was just wanting to be funny because, Michael Keaton's in the movie. Let's put in a little Batman thing. So
Warner Brothers was stalking you specifically.
Yes. Speaking of Warner Brothers merchandise, the serendipity, the day we're recording this is the day after I got in the mail from friend of the show, Ryan Walterson. He said, hey, what's an address I can mail something to? I want to send you something for Christmas. I was like, oh, just send something here. He was like, okay. And I totally forgot. And I got a package yesterday. And I thought it was something I had bought for myself, and I didn't remember. Then I opened it up, and it was a Jack Frost little plush. And I was like, oh, there it is.
I love that.
Okay. What I don't know what else.
I do also want to mention one more thing about that kid's desk. He has a fucking laptop in 1998, which, yes, laptops were very much a thing in 1998. They were also really fucking expensive.
And primarily owned by the military and businesses at that point.
Charlie doing drone strikes.
Oh, God.
Confirmed.
Oh my god, Charlie was a Gulf War veteran from his bedroom.
Oh god, Charlie's in war games. But anyway.
Yes, tie back to Matthew Broderick like everything.
Huzzah.
But yeah, to wrap up the plugs, yes, go listen to the late Mr. Kent episode of Jump on the Batwagon. Had a great time. Love that episode. And then sometime, I'm guessing in the new year, I will be on an Escape from Walt Disney. I won't say of what.
Hell yeah.
Because I've honestly forgot. But we recorded a while back, but it should be coming out eventually. And then just the socials. I'm on Blue Sky now, so it's Ryan Hipp whatever the other stuff is. And then Ryan Hipp FTW on Twitter, Instagram, Ryan Hipp on Letterboxd, the Ryan Hipp on YouTube. And yeah. Those are the things.
Hell yeah. So you can find me on Mission Breakout on Discord and Blue Sky, and you can also find me Muppet Vision _3D on Letterboxd, Muppet Vision _3D on Blue Sky as my art account. You can find me trying to survive 2025 and deciding to watch every single movie that won Best Picture because I need something to distract myself these next 4 years.
You can find me at Neon Tales with a Z on both Blue Sky and YouTube. And, well, my dad's still alive, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove my dad's alive self into a snowman, and that'll be my snow dad. All right, Dad, get in the snowman.
My dad skis a lot, so he'll probably turn into a snow dad someday. But anyway.
All right, as for me, you can find me on the usual spots, Tyler FG on Blue Sky, Tyler FG96 on Instagram. As for the show, you can find us on Blue Sky at Channel KRT Podcast, all one word, on Instagram. And we also have our Discord server and our Facebook group, which you can find in the link tree in our Blue Sky bio. And if you want to help support us, you can also find us on Patreon, where we have exclusive minisodes, outtakes, and episodes of this very podcast at its earliest convenience, as well as our Ko-Fi, where you can also find exclusive outtakes and minisodes, but we're selling those for $5 a pop. And of course, thank you to our pals Paul Spicknall, Tony Goldmark, Ashley Hines, and Chris Rayner for pledging to us at the $10 level. An extra special thank you to our executive producer Gomer. And of course, we will be taking the month of January off to recoup not only from our previous theme month, but also the holidays in general. But before we go, we wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been listening, whether it's been just a single episode of the show or just you've been a diehard fan with us for the long haul. We know this has been a really rough year for a lot of people, ourselves included, but we're just happy to be doing what we're doing, and we're happy that we have such an amazing fan base that keeps us going. Thank you guys so much. Channel KRT, I am the Wizard of Blizzard.
I'm Snowman.
If my competitor were drowning, I'd walk over and I'd put a hose right in his mouth.